Hello and welcome to Lantern Lane Stories. Tonight's story is The Two Bells of Seu Vella. In Lleida, there is a hill. It rises above the river Segre, gray and golden in the evening light. On top of that hill stands an old cathedral called Seu Vella. Its tower is eight-sided, like a stone lantern pointing at the stars. Inside that tower hang two bells with names. Their names are Mònica and Silvestra. Little Pau lived in Lleida, in a narrow house near the market square. Every night before sleep came, Pau would listen. At 7:30, a bright, clear sound rang through the window. That was Mònica. At 8 o'clock, a deep, heavy sound rolled down from the hill. That was Silvestra. One evening, Pau asked Grandfather, "Why do the bells have names?" Grandfather smiled. He pulled on his coat and took Pau's hand. "Come," he said, "I will show you something wonderful." They climbed the steep streets of the old town together. The air smelled of stone and rosemary and cool night. Above them, the eight-sided tower glowed pale yellow against the dark sky. At the foot of the tower, Grandfather pushed open a heavy wooden door. 238 steps, he said. He looked at Pau with kind eyes. "Are you ready?" "Yes," said Pau. The steps were worn smooth by many boots over many years. Each one curved gently underfoot, soft with age. Grandfather's voice floated up through the shadowed stairway. "A very long time ago," he said, "this tower had no bells at all." "No bells?" said Pau. That seemed impossible. Then came the year 1418. The candle in Grandfather's hand threw orange shadows on the stone walls. A craftsman named Johan Adam came to Lleida that April. "Johan Adam," repeated Pau. The name felt solid and ancient. He built a great iron furnace outside the cathedral. He fed it with wood and coal for many days. The fire turned red, then orange, then white hot. Grandfather paused on a landing to catch his breath. The air smelled of cold iron and old dust. On one April morning, the metal was finally ready. Johan Adam poured the glowing liquid into a clay mold. It hissed and sparked. Steam rose up like breath from a giant waking from sleep. It smelled of hot iron and scorched wood. Johan Adam stepped back and folded his hands. He did not speak. He waited. Pau gripped the rope railing and listened. "For 3 days, nobody touched the mold," said Grandfather. The whole city waited. Then Johan Adam came back with a small hammer. He tapped the clay once, twice. The mold cracked open, and inside was a bell. She was beautiful in the old Gothic style. Her handles curled at the ends into sharp iron claws. On her side, letters were carved in a flowing script. Grandfather recited quietly from memory. "Cristo vino en paz, Christ came in peace. Dios se ha hecho hombre, God became man. Cristo vence, Cristo reine, Christ wins, Christ reigns." He paused. The staircase was very quiet. Only the wind moved through the narrow stone windows. "Those words were chosen carefully," said Grandfather. In 1418, Lleida was a busy trading city. Merchants came down the Segre on flat wooden boats. Farmers carried grain from the wide flatlands to the west. When Silvestra rang, those words rang with her silently in the iron. Pau imagined all those people long ago looking up at the tower. "And then there was the question of her name," said Grandfather. "Why Silvestra?" Pau asked. Grandfather chuckled warmly. "There are two stories." They climbed another dozen steps. Some people say Johan Adam made a small mistake. He wrote the wrong letter and it could not be changed. He had meant to name her for the old Pope Silvestre, but the name came out Silvestra and it stayed. Pau laughed softly at that. "Other people say the name was chosen on purpose," said Grandfather, "because a bell speaks to a whole city and a woman's voice felt right." Pau thought about that for a long moment. They had reached a small arched door. Grandfather opened it carefully. Cold night air poured in. Before them hung a great dark shape, round and heavy with iron handles on top. Silvestra. She was enormous up close. Her surface was darkened with centuries of weather and wind. The carved letters on her side still caught the moonlight. Pau reached out one hand very slowly and touched her cool iron side. "She has been here," said Grandfather quietly, "since 1418, over 600 years. Grandfather led Pau around the bell platform. There, on the other side, hung a second bell. Smaller than Silvestra and lighter in color, she seemed almost to lean toward her older companion. "This is Mònica," said Grandfather. "She came to the tower 68 years after Silvestra." Pau counted quietly on small fingers. 1486, "Exactly right," said grandfather, pleased. He touched Monica's rim gently. The bell gave the faintest hum, like a contented cat. Monica's voice is very different from Silvestra's, high and clear like a bird calling in the first light of morning. Silvestra is deep and slow like a drum on a cold winter night. Pau listened. The wind passed through the open belfry. A thin, sweet note trembled in the air and slowly faded. "They decided long ago to give each bell her own work," said grandfather. "Monica calls out at the half hour. Silvestra calls out at the full hour. Together they divide the day into pieces, so the whole city can hold time in their hands." Pau tried to imagine a full day of it. At dawn, when the sky above the Segre turned pink, Silvestra would ring 6 deep strokes. Then Monica, bright and clear, would mark the half hour. At noon, when the market filled with the smell of olives and warm bread, Silvestra would ring 12, one by one, patient and steady. And so the day went, hour after hour. 2 voices dividing the light. Pau looked out through the arched window. Below, the lights of Lleida spread along the dark river. Yellow windows, winding streets, the Segre curving south into the night. "The bakers wake at Silvestra's first stroke," said grandfather. "The fishermen on the river count the hours by her. And the school children know from Mònica when it is time to run." Pau smiled at that. "And in 2004, grandfather said quietly, something frightening happened." "What?" Pau asked quickly. A very thin crack appeared inside Mònica. Grandfather's voice dropped low, just a hairline thin as a spider's thread, but the whole city went quiet when they found it. Craftsmen came and worked carefully for many weeks. They healed the crack, and Mònica rang again. Pau let out a long, slow breath. "So she is all right now?" "All right," said grandfather, and still singing. Grandfather and Pau sat down on the cold stone floor of the belfry. The stars outside were very bright and very close. "Did the bells always stay here?" asked Pau. Grandfather was quiet for a moment. "There was a difficult time," he said. "In the 1700s, soldiers came to Lleida. For a while, the cathedral became a barracks, a place for armies. But even then, the bells stayed. Nobody moved them. Nobody took away their names. The soldiers heard Silvestra mark the hours of their night watch. They heard Mònica sing the half hours of their rest. New streets were built below. The river flooded and fell back. Babies were born and grew old under those 2 voices on the hill. But the bells kept counting." Pau looked at Silvestra, at her dark iron handles, ancient and perfectly still, at the letters on her side just barely catching the moonlight. "Can I ask something?" said Pau. "Of course," said grandfather. "Do the bells know we are here?" Grandfather smiled. "I think," he said softly, "they are glad someone is still listening." He stood up slowly, brushing dust from his coat. Time to go down. Pau took one last look at the 2 bells. Mònica, small and bright. Silvestra, ancient and deep. 2 voices in a stone tower, watching over the city below. Grandfather and Pau walked down the 238 steps. Their quiet footsteps echoed on the worn stone. At the bottom, the heavy door swung shut behind them with a soft, deep boom. Outside, the night was soft and quiet. The river Segre reflected the stars in long silver ribbons. As they walked home, the half hour came. Monica's voice rang out over the rooftops, high and clear, like a bright thread pulled through the dark sky. Pau smiled. If you visit Lleida today, you can find Seu Vella on the hill above the Segre. The 8-sided tower still stands, 60 meters tall. And inside the belfry, Mònica and Silvestra are still there. Mònica still sings the half hours, bright and clear. Silvestra still rings the full hours, deep and slow. They have kept time for the people of Lleida since 1418. And so, Lleida also slowly, slowly fell asleep. Good night.